Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new edition of this show that is called Strange Times. As usual, I'm your host, Leopoldo Pérez Obregón, and in this show, we feature scholars to talk about the things that they are confused about, and then, of course, I ask my own confusions about the topics that they know very well. And I've never been more confused than in this podcast. It has been really like a hectic week. We've been really plugged into our TVs to watch the World Cup, and many conspiracy theories, many crazy things that we heard. And for that, we brought the perfect guest. We have Pedro José Mercado Jaén today with us. Pedro, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Leopoldo, for hosting this show. I'm very happy to be here, especially after what happened on Sunday. I think we'll argue a little bit about that, but yeah, very happy to be finally here on the podcast.
We are reviving the final here, I think. I'm Argentinian, you're a Spaniard. I'm also Spaniard, by the way, which finds me here with mixed feelings because, in principle, I would be happy for both. I think it was a great game. All I care about was winning against the English. And I think this is part of the controversy. We were trying to do this podcast before, but I'm happy we did it afterwards because I never expected things to get so crazy. But let's start as we always start this show with my regular question. You're a researcher in sports law, and I wonder, what are you confused about in this moment?
Well, I'm very much confused and in this moment about what happened in the World Cup, especially with, I think we'll discuss this later, but with the red card controversy of Balogun, because it's actually what I researched on my thesis, and I was like writing a chapter that pretty much focused on that case, and I was confused by the point of like all what I've been writing were pointing out at the same problems that we have seen with this case, but at the same time, I found the limits of like research and qualitative research in how we can reach these very powerful and political arguments that happen in like closed door. So that is what confused me, like how we can reach out to those powers and political and be reflected on our research.
So the red card that you're referring to is in the game against Switzerland.
Exactly.
Which I guess, if I think I have it here. No, I don't, unfortunately. But I of course, it was a very memorable part of the World Cup when that happened. How does that relate to your research? Explain to me and remind about the controversy itself.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems like a long time ago.
So the controversy rise in the first round of the match between the US and Switzerland, were the striker of the US.
Argentina and Switzerland, right?
No, it was because it's Balogun. Is the player of the striker
when he receives the red card,
and then exactly
because there was another controversy on Switzerland, but I got mixed because this is a different one.
Yeah, exactly.
But now we are talking about the main one, the main controversy of the World Cup.
Exactly. Which, and now I'm getting even like confused. It was Switzerland, but the striker received a red card during the match that actually was revised by the VAR, and it was the VAR that calls the referee, and the referee end up giving the red card. That's, as we know, automatically prompt the 1 match suspension for the player, so he will not be able to play on the next match. What happened hours later is that FIFA, before FIFA, the New York Times, I think, released like one of the news saying that Donald Trump has called Gianni Infantino to address the revision of the red card. And hours later, FIFA released a press release where they actually mentioned that the red card got suspended, so in the end it will not be like the player will be able to play on the next round, and that has never happened in the last 60 years in a World Cup. I mean, legally it's still something that can happen because the regulation allows it, but the important thing here is like how actually this power dynamic between like Donald Trump, Gianni Infantino, and a committee actually like plays a role, because the red card was revised by a disciplinary committee that FIFA has, and that committee is actually what I research. So I research on how international federations, in this case FIFA, has their internal, we can call it courts. So these courts revise the red card and decide to suspend the implementation of the red card. So that's where I focus, and this is very relevant for me to just, because I argue that these tribunals should be separated from the executive and legislative. So here we can guess that this has been some kind of influence, but at the same time we cannot prove it. So that's what confused me the most.
We can somehow prove the fact that everybody acknowledged that there was a call. And to me, like the non-legal expert perspective is, these guys wanted us to know that they can do whatever they want. So that was, to me, the most surprising. But then we're getting a bit into the rabbit hole of the conspiracy area that we will go in there, don't worry. But legally speaking, how does your research inform this debate then, other than the institutional configuration that you think it must be separate? Do you often see these things in the cases you read, many conflicts of interest? How would you describe the cobweb of institutionality of the FIFA? I don't know if the FIFA is your main focus also.
Yeah, actually FIFA is one of the main focuses, one of the case studies that I'm working, but in general, like in sports governance, the pattern is the same. Why? Because sports has always claimed to be autonomous from different legal system, from different legal orders. So basically the premise is that sport governs itself. Those like associations like FIFA, they set up their own rules and then set up their internal courts to revise and implement those rules. So if you are an athlete, if you are like a player, you cannot go to a traditional court to claim any kind of like violation of your right within the context of like a competition.
Similar to the military courts, right?
Exactly.
That you first go to the military, and then if everything is incredibly corrupt, you may be going to the civil or criminal law.
Exactly. But here, like, the problem is even higher and higher, because while in civil, in the military, you will reach, because it's linked usually with the executive, you can reach one of the administrative courts, usually, or like a criminal court, depending on like the cases. Here, when you finish reaching all the levels that you have inside FIFA, for example, then you have another court that is external to FIFA, but it's still a court that is put in place by the Olympic Committee and the International Federation, and it's called the Court of Arbitration for Sport. So it's not even like a public court. It's, again, a private foundation based in Switzerland. So you still are trapped within the entire system that you cannot leave. And if you want to like participate in competition, that's your way.
That
you
sounds
cannot
incredibly corrupt.
It sounds a lot.
I never thought that I thought that you would have an instance of appeal higher up outside of the captured.
There is a way out, and it's basically once you imagine the Balogun case starts going up. At some point, it will reach out this court of arbitration for sport, and then it's an arbitration court. So it usually works. We don't call it like judgment. We call it like an award. So when they render the award, saying whatever they want to say about the case, the only chance that you have in order to appeal, and not even, we cannot call it appeal, is because this court is set in Switzerland, and all the awards that comes from this institution can be appealed in a Swiss court, that is the Swiss Federal Tribunal. What is the problem? That the reasons that you have in order to appeal are like very, very, very limited. And it's against Swiss public. I forgot the technical name, but it's basically either, and we have very few instances that this has happened. It's either because the panel that set up like the decision, there was like a malfunction. It was like, we can call it corrupted. They were like conflict of interest of the arbitrator, or it goes against public interest. That there was but the Swiss Federal Tribunal like very interpreted this very, very, very narrow, and we have like we can count with the fingers of one hand how many cases.
And in this case of the red card, it went to the first committee. I guess it didn't reach even an appeal.
Well, that's the funny part of here. Like, it went to the first instance of FIFA, that is called the disciplinary tribunal, and here was the decision not to suspend the implementation of the red card. And this was known by the media, not even by a formal notification from FIFA. What happened was like the Belgium, because then US was playing against Belgium in the next qualifiers. Belgium wrote a letter to FIFA asking for the grounds of the decision and asking to review the decision, and FIFA counted that as an appeal. So they didn't formally do an appeal, but FIFA said that was an appeal, and the appeals committee, so the second instance, said that Belgium in this case was not a party in the proceedings, because Belgium was the team that they would play against them. So it should have been the previous team that
This is very strange, because why the previous team will be interested if they already
knocked out? Exactly. So this end up there. Luckily, again, Belgium won against the US, because if not, I'm pretty sure that Belgium will have taken the decision of the appeal committee to like not allow them to present the appeal because of then not be a party, and they would have gone to this court of arbitration. Despite this court has like a very fast procedure that works out during the World Cup. I'm not sure if they would have decided before the match, but there could have been a chance that then the court after the match, imagine that the US win, and then the court says that the players should not have played. Then Belgium will have won automatically because of like, it's similar to, I don't know if you know what happened in the last African Cup.
No.
In the last minutes of the match between Senegal and Morocco, in the final, the referee called a penalty. I think it was like I don't know, even in the overtime, but very close to the end. And the Senegalese player walked out of the pitch as a sign of protest, because they say that was like not penalty, that everything was corrupted and everything. And after like half an hour, 40 minutes of debates between players, between coaches and everything, the Senegal team went back to the pitch. The penalty was for Morocco. They didn't score, so they went to overtime. And in the end, Senegal won the African Cup. What happened later? The Moroccan team went to this tribunal of the African Confederation, and the tribunal decided that the winner of the cup was Morocco, because Senegal walked out from the pitch. So basically, like the photo, it's like that Senegal won, but on paper, it was Morocco who won. Then they appealed this decision of the African Tribunal to the Court of Arbitration for Sports that we discussed before. And this court says like, no, it was actually the Senegal team who won. So it was like back and forth.
So imagine having to wait like, I don't know, 5 months to know if your team won.
Exactly. So basically that's how were the Senegalese and Moroccan during the last month.
You know, in Argentina, we have a term for that, which is you win in the escritorio, like in the desk.
Yeah.
If you win in the desk is when you win with this type of tricks. Mm-hmm. Do you think that Infantino, after this embarrassing situation, could face challenges to his renewal, at least by the Europeans?
Well, there has been already some letter signs by some European football associations saying that they will not vote for the re-election of Gianni Infantino. The problem is how the electoral system works in FIFA. FIFA has 211 members associations, and it's one members association, one vote. So they don't care if the bunch of Europeans don't vote for them. Meanwhile, they have like the votes of Oceania, Africa, Asia, or the Americas. So that's this is how can be tricky.
And what is because now everybody has a theory about FIFA and Netanyahu and Trump and everything is commingled, but who really runs this organization? Who are the real power brokers over there, would you say?
In traditionally, or like what research suggests, it's always the leadership. So basically, in this case, like Infantino and usually the secretary. The secretary.
Is Trump running FIFA and Netanyahu? In this case, like, why do people come up with this idea?
No, I think because first the model that FIFA, and we can see how this World Cup has been established, it's a model that they are trying to build, and I think this was like a test of they want the system and the football to be more expensive so they can get more profit.
Mm-hmm.
So they ally with figures that where they can get this profit in terms of like economic value. And I think also not just in terms of like economic value, but power, if we can call it that way. And we can say that absolutely alliance between Infantino and Trump can be very powerful. And we saw this on the piece, in the board piece that Trump set up. You see the picture, I don't know if you have seen the picture. It's like you have all the big name, Netanyahu, Orban, all of them. And then there is Infantino.
Really?
In the board of peace.
What
the hell is the president of like the International Football Association doing in the board of peace?
It's endless crazy. But in this World Cup, I felt very strange also these days, because I started to feel like there has been more things playing out and more people being involved and more theories, crazier and crazier by the minute, to the point that I think in this World Cup, the new rule has been said that everything is true and the opposite at the same time. It's like the pandemic on steroids, the level of misinformation and craziness. It never happened to me to walk with an Argentinian t-shirt and some people randomly approaching and saying that your country is corrupt, that you are the poster child of the FIFA, or a lot of theories saying that Messi is a Zionist that has links with Netanyahu. I think that the anti-Messis are the new anti-vaxxers of this era. And then there are things that are true, that Milei is very much close to Trump, and Trump, of course, being close to FIFA, and then everything gets entangled. But what do you think explains this level of crazy conspiracy theories that we are seeing?
I wish I can explain that, but the thing is, like, the first issue that we can see and the difference between now what the World Cup it's now with the previous ones being Qatar, for example. I think there the controversies were mainly focused on human rights and labor laws in Qatar, so it was like a pre-discussion,
which were not untrue. Right?
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. They were like reported, but I don't know why we have rolling these conspiracy levels in this
World
Cup.
I never see so many influencers on a foreign language explaining to me Argentinian history and why we don't have black players in the team.
True.
Which is basically, we don't have a big black population, and in Argentina everybody plays football. The blonde guy, the red hair, and I mean, in Argentina also, when they say the campaign of the desert, when you guys went in the Patagonia and killed everybody, yeah, those were native people, which is of course wrong to kill them, but it's not that we annihilated black people en masse. Like, it's such a crazy story, and also I'm never going to defend the bad habits that my country has in relations to the many things we need to do better. We need to be less racist. But if you look at social media, you will think that in Argentina there's an apartheid. And I think we are pretty average with the level of racism that you see in the region. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it's the betting platforms that start to spread misinformation campaigns, so people bet against Argentina and then they pocket more money?
I don't know. I mean, I'm still like very like my relationship with social media. It's very much not very good in those terms. That's why, like for example, I try to avoid like the big, like Twitter, well X.
Twitter is horrendous.
I'm out of that. TikTok, I'm out of that. Instagrams, I have like a limitation not to. So in that way, I think I tried to like escape these controversies. And you sent me this morning like the post, and I was like, half of the things that I was reading there, it was like the first time that I was
Really?
that I was confronted. So I think like also how the algorithm work, it actually like pop-ups, and I have people that are not really into football, and sadly for this week they have been just bombarded with reels of football and reels of conspiracies. And
you know, it affects to the personal level too. I start to even lose touch with friends because I have a lot of people in Spain that I love. I go to Spain a lot. I love the country. And suddenly we are divided over stupid things like we are now criminals, treacherous people, because they say that the team gave the bag to the Spanish when they were receiving the cup. And this is also being fueled in mainstream media. And you see the images, and the Argentinian team was just waving to their crowd. And yeah, there was the coronation there. But I don't know if it's a regular practice that you need to watch how the other guy receives the World Cup.
Yeah, I think it's also like a way of like how media want to try to just
leverage.
Yeah, or like for example, when we won, I think I opened the newspaper, and after like the big we are world champions, this second news was like related to the fight that they have like at the end, and now it's like still like what newspaper want to prioritize is mostly like the controversy rather than the good aspect of that. And it's, I mean, they say always like football and sport brings out the worst of the
True.
of people, and like I think social media and newspaper also live from that controversies and that those aspects. So,
but besides, I think that De La Fuente and Scaloni, they love each other, and they have been amazing to each other. They have spoken about each other's team incredibly well. Then there was this fight at the end of the game, which happens in 80% of the high-level football matches, huh?
At this level, I don't think that much, but
I've seen quite often.
I mean, for what I
brawl,
what I remember, it was like still old times of Real Madrid with Mourinho and Barcelona. That time of matches is where I was going, and I was like, okay, they are going to fight. But I don't know if it's because I'm just very used to like
European football. I think that there's
European football that is for me like that end of the match
was savage.
Was a little bit savage, yes.
But I think that there's a Eurocentric view of how football is too, because Mbappe, when he complained about the people from Paraguay, or these guys play dirty. Go watch a Boca Juniors game. They beat the shit out of each other. Like, that is normal. That's the way you play football in South America. Because these guys go to play not in a care manner in a club. They go to their barrio where there's a shitty street, and then after the game, you just do a fight, and then you drink Coca-Cola with the guys from the neighborhood. I don't know. So it's a different culture, and I see now so much out of proportion that FIFA is opening an investigation.
For me,
do you think?
I think that it's a couple of things that deserve an investigation.
Tell me more. Which one?
No, I think like the one that prompted the fight that was like when Rodri is just running, and who was the Molina?
It was, I think
Molina kick
or Medina, I don't know.
Yeah. That I think that was the one that prompted the fight among everyone. At least someone would have to look at it and sanction the player with like a couple of matches. That's my.
That's easy. But
that's my approach.
Now there's a change that our petition I just seen that they want to ban Argentina from. We're going crazy. And another of the narratives is that apparently also Otamendi was very angry, and they transmitted it Biadasen, and he said to Rodri, I think, like, man, you've been speaking about the arbitrage, whining the whole week. That you shouldn't do that, because it's true. To me, when I hear that Argentinians are treacherous, criminal people that do traps, and that Messi is horrendous, it hurts me a lot. It makes me feel very violent, because I think none of these things are true. These are not facts.
No, but I think probably your point is like the way that football is played around the world, and I think the particularity of the World Cup it's just bring that, but it's not just brings the players itself. We have to remind that the referees are also like from around the world. So then you have like referees that allows very different things because they are used to referee in other contexts where they are like more aggressive tackle, and they are usually leave those tackle go on, or like takes more time to show the first yellow card, and this kind of like also different dynamics of countries and regional dynamics plays out, knowing how the players work, but also how the referees behave on the pitch. So that's, I think, like the particularity of the World Cup, and even like in European context, we always have like the different approaches of like how football it's played. So imagine if even here we face that when we see Champions League matches. Like I cannot imagine, or we can witness when this World Cup.
The other day I was discussing with Will, I think, from England here. He was super anti-Argentina because we are, bad people and everything. And we were discussing the VAR plays of Argentina against Egypt. And to me, what is crazy is that technology that faces against the same fact, we should reach the same conclusion. And we saw the same videos and disagreed completely about whether that was a foul or not. So how do you think technology helps on this?
I mean, I think technology helps in fixing big mistakes by the referees. And when I say big mistakes, is mistakes that an average person knowledgeable on football, 9 out of 10 will say that was fault, that it was like. That's where technology can help. Technology sometimes cannot help in cases where it's very much of like interpretation, and that's how I think. I mean, I don't know if you follow the Spanish league, but the VAR there, it's absolutely crazy how it actually like it calls almost every single goal to review just because the referee apps thinks that might need an interpretation. While in the World Cup, the VAR, you have no idea how less it's their intervention on the matches, because they don't want to have the image that is the VAR the one decided, unless it's very evident that the referee didn't see the play. And that's because they still see the referee in the pitch as the main referee. While the more power you give to technology, the more power also others will have. So the referee in the VAR will have that thing of like, I want to be the protagonist here, so I will call the referee to revise this because I think it's fault. So here is where technology can be a kind of like a big limitation in terms of like how different interpretation of the same play can rule. But like, or now I think they have been testing the offside in the sense of like, now, yeah, it's very precise, but sometimes you have like a toe that it's because of that toe it's offside, and people get very much frustrated, and now they are thinking about like, I know it has to be like more than 50% of the guy in front. So then again, like I think we are still maneuvering with how we can use technology in sports, because in other football, because in other sports, like I think the approach is completely different.
I think that also that technology doesn't solve trust. In a way, Trump, when they called when he called Infantino to remove that red card, it tainted the credibility of the whole tournament. So suddenly everybody felt that whatever could go against them was for a conspiracy related reason. I don't know if there's a way back from this unless FIFA really does some soul searching, because before that was Argent FIFA. Everybody was saying, Argent FIFA. And now the other day I heard an Argentinian saying, so when do we start talking about Espan FIFA? You know, now if I won illegitimately, you are also the next one to be winning illegitimately. How do you think about this element of trust?
The problem is how trust has been restored, if has been restored in sports governance. And every time that in sport there has been like a big scandal where trust has been corrupted, then there has been changes. Well, changes. People have tried to reform the different federation, the different instances where sport has been affected by this mistrust. But if we can call it, rate of success are very minimal. Still, people don't trust the system. We can see, like, when late 90s we have big scandals in cycling with doping, they made big reforms. They established World Anti-Doping Agency, doping tests. It's been like 30 years of reforms, everything. Still, people watch cycling, and when they say a good performance, it's the first thing is like, this guy is doped. When we see two guys running London Marathon breaking the 2 hours record, the first response, this is dope. And this is a problem of trust. Like, people don't trust the system because past scandal. So here is the same. Like, once in 5 years, we'll have another decision of like a red card or like a disciplinary decision banning like a player, will again think the same. It's like, oh, I don't trust this because for sure someone called someone, and that's why they are deciding that. Or wait until like a very big scandal at like VAR level, and then people will not trust that. So it's a problem of like, once we have a big scandal that erase trust from your like audience, like how you can restore that. But as the same in like cycling, there's a lot of people that lost their trust in the sport, but it's still, if you see there, it's a lot of like sociological analysis of this. Like the number of people that watch cycling after the doping cases and everything kept growing. Like there was like not an influence of like how many people were watching it, how many people were following it. So sometimes trust doesn't, or mistrust doesn't lead to an influence in like how people consume that sport, but influence how people express publicly about the sport. So of course, I think all the conspiracy theories will be part of like that trust aspect, and a lot of people will not trust anymore how these institutions work in practice, and I think they have reasons to.
To me, even when you have somebody, honestly, I cannot think of somebody more impeccable than Messi in life, in general. Like the man, never a misdeed. He's a good family man. He's not like Maradona, but I think that people, when they see Messi and they think that, oh, he's a Zionist, wherever, just because he doesn't speak against world injustices. But Messi has never done that. And I think that we all expect football players to be performers, social warriors, and somehow that will regain the trust of the people. But people forget that the minute he pronounces a word in one sense, he loses half of the people, right? So to me, the lovely thing about Messi is that we all love them in Argentina. To us, he's more than just a football player. He's an example of life, of superation, and I wish that people could enjoy in him the same things that we see. But it seems we are the terrible victims of a conspiracy, and I wonder who profits from this. My one suspicion is that Donald Trump, when he made the call to Infantino, and when he's constantly fueling mistrust against every institution, he's breaking the power structures that checked the power of people that were very high up. So democracy and all of these things came as a result to a system where we beheaded kings, and suddenly we have a new set of oligarchs that are confusing us, pitching us against each other, making us lose the faith in the democracy and in the institutions because they profit from it. So I don't think poor Messi is to blame on this just because he doesn't speak against injustice in a way that anybody would expect. So I don't know. This is a long reflection, probably.
No, but it's like a big aspect of like how athletes are. I mean, athletes are political figures, no matter like how we want to see that. So, what is the role of athletes in this political and social injustice aspect? And people again will have like different approach, and even like in the with the Spanish team, I swear to you, like before even we raised the cap, like for me I stayed in front of the TV, not just waiting the moment that we raise the cap, but the moment that certain players have to say to shake hands with Donald Trump, because we have like a couple of players that are very voice of social injustice, that are very leftist, and then when you see how they don't look at him, they do like this, so it's like you can clearly see that they are also making their points. Before the match, one player, that is Borja Iglesias, just post on Instagram a photo of like how much the tickets for the World Cup final cost, and he said this is a vergüenza, this is like a
disgrace.
Yeah. And it's people that are like very vocal about this. So when you have these actors that they still, of course, like are in a privileged position to make these statements, it's where a lot of people get asked like why we have some people that can do these statements and others refuse to that. Does Messi get profit for not saying anything like social? I'm not talking about economic profit. Does he gain something for not saying things?
But there's another read. It's his personality. He just doesn't like that, But
I think it's like, I'm not saying that it's a conscious decision for. Sometimes yes, because they get confronted very.
This is something I think this is an important aspect, because Messi, when his colleagues talk about him, what everybody says from him is that he's a very good person. He's very loyal to the people that he needs to take care from close by. The people from AFA, once they were not getting their paycheck for 2 months for political reasons, so one of them went to Messi, and Messi said, "Don't worry, I'm going to pay you from my own pocket." So he covered the salaries of all the staff for like 2 months or more until this was solved. So they have these social commitments that are not loudly said, but people want the loud part. And I think that's where things get confusing. I want sportsmen to be socially committed, but politically, I don't know, because also in the Spanish team, there are some MAGA guys too, right?
Yeah.
So in Argentina, you don't have any of those. The only one that is MAGA was Kun Agüero, who is not in the team anymore. But then you know that, for example, Lisandro Martinez is peronista. He likes Madres de Plaza de Mayo. We all know he's the social hero of the team, but he never speaks. Because I think Messi also forbids them. They made a pact to not go into that. You don't see in the Argentinian team, like in the Brazilian team, that they have been co-opted by the right wing, more or less. Neymar, being Bolsonarista. So I don't know where to sit on that, but I think I kind of like how the Argentinian teams manage themselves on this, and probably it's Messi cracking the whip, because he's very, on those things, he's a very good leader. He tightens the group on what he wants. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it depends. Like here, I mean, it's a big question of like sport. I mean, sport is political, but like to what extent, like sports people are or have to be political political figures among the sports that they perform. And this is like, it depends like what is your priority, not priority, but like if you still think that the priority is football after all, and like the sports performance where people really wants them to be separated from political aspect. But I think, or my perspective, is that you cannot separate
I think
both of them.
I would wish that many nations have one symbol that unites them out of love, as so much we have Messi. You know? And to me, there's no more social commitment than that, because for us, he's just not a player. He's just everything, which I don't think Lamine Yamal has that in Spain, for example.
No, because he's vocal about certain issues.
You see, you don't have like one thing that puts you all together, and that feeling of I belong to some values that are universal and truth. Like, I need to be a good husband, I need to be a good father, I need to, wow, this sounds amazing. And if we would only do that with our lives, I think we'll be so much better.
But it's the same that we have with the controversy and the outrageous thing that happened in the last Women's World Cup, when the president of the Spanish Football Association kissed one of the players.
I remember.
What happened with the people in the Spanish federations? They were all clapping. What happens with half of the people in the Spanish squad? They say absolutely nothing. Those that really put a foot in front and says, this was wrong, I will not play for the national team unless this change, they made a statement. A lot of people will hate them because of making that statement. But I think it was a statement that was necessary to change how things work. Because if you still operate in the things of like, well, I still receive the salary from my team, I still would like to play for the football, like the national team, and I want to say something. I think for me, better than be like a reflection of how a good person is those that step a foot in front and said, I'm not going to play for a national team where the president of the football association is doing doing these things. So those are better for me, better person than those that say absolutely nothing because they were benefited from that.
No, you're right. I have the ultimate conspiracy theory that links the result to the World Cup to a social element, but I'm going to leave that for the end, because first I want to ask you something. You're also an athlete yourself.
Athlete. I like sports.
But you train regularly, and you also have a very deep commitment with a running club.
Yes. Yes.
How do you mix that with your also academic life? Does it, I don't know, train your mind in some way to do better?
I don't know. Like for me, like sport has been always part of my life. I used to play basketball when I was a kid. The reason why I'm doing what I'm doing in my research is because I reached a point where I was studying law and I like it, but like not that much. And then, I mean, I was like, I love sports, so I tried to find a way of combining both of them, and I found that you can combine law and sports together. And then still, like, sports is the way that I have to escape a little bit from research, escape for a little bit from, and that's why they are like the sports that I like is like cycling. It's
going outdoors.
It's running, yeah, because it allows you to have like 1-2 hours, and I usually go without headphones or anything to just pop up. But sometimes it's a good exercise to actually reflect on something that you are writing. So it leaves you that space to do it. But at the same time, I really like the social aspect of sports. That's why, again, I like to go to the running club to run with people at whatever pace. The priority is to run with people and just share a moment rather just going 6 times a week alone to do some sport. I think the social aspect is pretty much why I do this.
But you still compete. You put yourself in the marathons, but you don't do it to win.
No, I think it's a way of like self-discipline. Like, I think I'm a very structured person in my life. So when you have certain competitions coming out and you start like planning and you start putting things together, it also gives you motivation. Like now with 35 degrees, do you think I want to go out and run? But then I think, okay, if I stop running now for 2 months and then I have to start preparing the marathon, I will get injured. And if I get injured, I cannot do a sport. So I prioritize running now, despite sometimes I don't have the motivation, because that allows me to not have injuries, and that will allow me to do sports. That it's what I like. So it's not just the competition itself, but it's like be free of injuries, be free of like having time to do what I like, and that's it, sports. So it's a mix of like what the competition brings is like that discipline, but also like a structure to follow, let's say.
That's fair enough. I think it's a good take, and I'm happy of the service you do to the UI also with the other colleagues organizing these regular runs. I think it's very important to get to know each other and do cool stuff. Even coming to Radio Cowler is another way to meet people and do fun stuff and talk about the things that we do here at the UI with the broader audience. So now I will close the show with the favorite part of The Strangest, which is the strangest fact of the week. And now we share what is the strangest thing that we saw this week. And I have things that are somehow football related, and I'm bringing here the conspiracy theory that reigns all of conspiracy theories, which is a video that has been circulating in the Argentinian internet, which is the arenga, we call it in Spanish, which is when somebody says like, come on guys, you need to learn. And Messi is of course the captain of the team, and he always delivers these speeches that have been sensational in other moments of time. And now this arenga has been very strange, and it's exerted all sort of theories of what happened before the game. So it's in Spanish, but you can sense, and we're going to translate the essence of it. So
tranquilidad. Lo principal, estemos tranquilos, muchachos, estemos tranquilos, tranquilidad, pensemos jugar nomás, tranquilidad, olvidémonos de todo, No juguemos, pensemos jugar nomás, gente, jugar, dale.
Let's just think about playing. Let's forget about everything that happened. Let's be calm. That's not a real, motivational speak. So many people think that before the game, somebody came and said that they need to handle the tournament to Spain. And the main conspiracy theory is that when they beat England, they deployed a flag, the Las Malvinas son Argentina, and that was insulting also to the British, but also to the whole of Europe, that will go against the re-election of Infantino. So they had to punish the Argentinian rebels that, for a social reason, deployed this flag that really united all of Argentina. And well, this is the rabbit hole that we are in now in Argentina. We all believe that our players were on purpose playing poorly and playing backwards, and that so many people were injured, and so this is why they did not do anything to win the World Cup, basically.
Well, I think it's a big conspiracy theory, and when I was reading that on the stairs, like I couldn't, like, for me it was like very difficult to really understand how people can think that
this is true.
That's true, yes, because like I think those that claim the aspect of the Maldives,
Malvinas.
Must be
That's another island, but it's not ours. Maybe one
Malvinas.
day in the future.
One day, Argentina coming back to the Malvinas. The problem was that, again, in sports is this concept of sports should not be political. And the problem is like, this is a discourse that has been very much focused by the International Olympic Committee. And in the Olympic Games, if you do what the Argentinians did, you are out of the Olympic Games. Like, straight out.
Yeah.
We saw the Ukrainian bobsleigh, well, the guy doing bobsleigh. Being kicked out of the Olympic Games because he wanted to do the competition with a helmet with the faces of soldiers that has died on the war, because that was like a political statement. The IT national team in the World Cup were not allowed to play with a T-shirt that was commemorating the revolution, because that was meant to be, or according to FIFA, a political statement. So the people that brought up that kind of like, oh, Argentina should be banned for that, were not coming from that political statement, the political statement of it, but among the inconsistency of like how sport governing bodies tackle political expression. I mean, probably people have guessed, but I'm very much in favor of people being able to do that. Athletes expressing their political opinions even on the pitch, but the criticism came from that aspect. So I don't think there was like, oh, we have somehow to make Argentina lose the World Cup because they show.
I don't know. The fact is, we lost and we played very bad.
I mean, you played very
badly.
Rare.
Have you seen? I also have to ask you this, because I almost forgot this part of when Cucurella covers the mouth. There has been a video on the internet which is actually a bit funny with the.
I mean,
this is another genre of this World Cup. Reading lips.
Reading lips. But that was like, again.
But let's see the.
Bien. No, perdona. Leo. Hey, no, Leo, que hace una pregunta.
¡Se tapó la boca! ¡Se tapó la boca! ¡Él se tapó la boca! ¡Él se tapó la boca! ¡Se tapó la boca!
Ni le he hablado encima, no me jodas, tío. No, así no, tío, que esto no es serio.
¡Me están hablando aquí! ¡Tú! ¿Quién se fije el bar? ¡Es faula ahí!
So,
but I think here we miss two things.
So they were saying basically is cover the mouth, but it's more idiomatic expressions, really no meaning. But
and here we're missing two things, two perspectives of this. That despite I have the limitation on Instagram, it arrived to my feed. First is the video of right before there is the fall by Enzo. I think it was Enzo.
Yeah.
There is Argentinian player that is standing normally and suddenly he goes to the ground and start like grabbing his knee. And that's why Messi said like, oh, look at that fall.
Okay.
So there is this shooting of like an Argentinian player like standing normally, and then when Enzo does the fall, he just goes to the ground and start grabbing his knee. That's one aspect that probably doesn't deserve. But the problematic of this, it's because Cucurella says to Messi, and that's not there, that like Cubarsí hit his mouth. That's why he pointed to his
I heard
mouth.
the theory too.
And the problem is like, for those that don't know, FIFA has implemented a rule for this World Cup that is called the Vinicius rule. That is, if players cover their mouth when they are talking to the referee, well, mainly to other players, exactly, they receive a straight red card. And that happened, I think, a couple of times. So
in the World Cup too.
In the World Cup, and it was implemented because in the Champions League, a Benfica player,
and also Argentinian.
Unfortunately. Covered his mouth and insulted Vinicius, I think. It was Vinicius. And in order, of course, if you cover your mouth unless you have microphones, no one knows what you are saying. But at the end, he got a sanction. And after that, that's why FIFA has implemented this rule.
But, coming back to these cultural differences, this is a typical thing of South American football. That if you see somebody doing this, you will use that to quickly say. Messi was super quick, which we, in our culture, we understand this is a funny thing for us. You know? But Europeans see it as a tremendous, disloyal thing.
Well, just look at the. I forgot what the Mexican said when the goalkeeper is going to shoot, like when the goalkeeper has the ball. They say something misogynist.
Really?
Right? Yeah, they say like, I don't know what they say.
So
Like an insult or like
yeah.
cabrón or something like that. And FIFA has been fining the Mexican Football Association every single match they play, because still like the people do, and the Mexican Football Association always says this is how they have been doing for years. We are trying to change that. They put fine, they put banners, they say on the speaker, don't say, so they say this. So still you have like these very big cultural things that still prompt fines and suspensions and this kind of thing.
There are things that are difficult to change. And on this, I think that the Argentinian team should be more vocal to cut off this type of racist behavior. And I think that's where, if something I would criticize is, come on, guys, be a bit stronger on this, because it's not helping to the global image. But what's the strangest thing that you saw this week?
Good question. I think I was thinking of like how we reach the the final. But for me, like the strangest thing, it was like an internal, because I'm very vocal. I'm not that much of like a big football fan. I am a little bit, not extremely, but I am. But for me, the strangest thing, it was when I was watching the match, the final, I was more afraid not of us losing, but of Argentina winning the match.
Why?
Because of like the disproportionate balance of like
how bad we played.
Yes, exactly. For me, I mean, I was most concerned. I was like, I will lose every kind of hope in football if they win. It was like this kind of like strange. It's like, I will not be sad because we have not win. I will be sad because the other team won't playing that badly. And that's like, I had that. I mean, I'm a Madrid fan. I've experienced Barcelona beating our asses for years and then us winning. But for Barcelona, I don't have that that thing. With Atletico de Madrid, I have.
Yeah, really? Why?
I have.
Why?
Because I think they play very much like Argentina. They play like more like low defense, hard
I love Atletico
tackles.
de Madrid, by the way.
And so every time we play against them, I'm more concerned about them winning the way that they win than rather us losing. So I have the same feeling that in the final. I was not concerned of like us losing, but Argentina.
But it happened to you in the moment. You saw the game and you saw, okay, this is not justice to football if they win, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's people that come with the preconception that we are horrendous people. And you know that historic game with the Dutch. I was living in the Netherlands. On
The
previous
World
football.
Cup, yes.
That game, I'm sorry, but the Dutch deserve every bit of what Messi did to them. Because there was a previous history to that game with Van Gaal, the trainer, who is a German who loved teams that played in systems. So he hates the Argentinian individualist guys that are with the dribbling and the flashy players. And in that period, Van Gaal had two of the biggest Argentinian stars, Riquelme and Di Maria. And he benched both.
Both of them.
So they hated Van Gaal. And before the match, Van Gaal also talked shit on Messi. So this is why when Messi scores the penalty, people don't know, and he does the sign, which is the Topo Gigio sign, that Riquelme did to Boca Juniors when he scored a goal. And for us, it was like, man, the little, third world guy avenged his colleagues, and we loved it. We loved it because the Dutch behaved horribly with us before the game. Then it was a match that was nasty. Everybody kicked each other. Fights happened. Also a fight broke in that match, and there was not such a scandal of FIFA investigation,
No?
No. And they also went like, "Rrr." So I don't know why we're doing such a fuss on this World Cup with these things.
I don't know.
Anyway, so we finished, Pedro, but we need to now do the punctuation on the different facts that we brought to the table. So, my strange fact. I need to put a point on myself. I'm very generous. I think I will put myself an 8 because that theory, it was very strange. But it's also not that strange because it's very likely that this happened. And your fact, your surprise about Argentina, I mean, it was somehow insightful. I give you that. Because other people came with the preconception of hatred. So I will put you
6.
no, a 7, because it was pretty remarkable. Now you have to point mine and yours.
Bye. I will go, as I say, to mine with a 6. This is probably a 9 here. A 6, I think it was not very much elaborated because it was like very internal.
It was good. I like when people come with introspections. Those are the most valuable.
I studied ethics in sports before. I did a master on ethics, so I was like very much confronted with this, as I was when I was cheering Portugal because Ronaldo was playing with them.
You were cheering for Ronaldo?
At the beginning, I was like, I mean, if he scored, it's good. He played for Madrid. Sometimes I prioritize club over national teams.
Madrid fans are like that. Anyway,
I put you an 8.
Hey, so I won again the strangest prize of the week. So I'm going to take the guy with the tambourine. This is my strangest prize. I don't know if people can see it. And now you get to choose the less strange prize, Pedro, which will be a token for your visit to the show.
The less strange one.
Or the second strangest prize.
The second strangest. The angel.
The little angel.
The little angel.
Oh, that's a very
Christmas tree, no?
It's for the Christmas tree, but also to pray.
I will put it on my desk.
You will need
to accompany me for the next months that I will really need.
Pedro, it has been a pleasure talking with you, and I hope we broke down every conspiracy theory out there.
Hopefully.